enormously. All measures of human development fell. And in Libya, it is not forecast to recover its economy from pre-NATO bombing levels until 2018, when it had a growth rate of over 10%. You have cut their economy by 2/3. Here are 11 questions that you have not answered honestly. If, as most analysts show, the sitting Libyan government was more widely supported than the rebels, does that not destroy the whole basis of this violent intervention? How do we know the NTC had any legitimacy? How do we know that the majority of Libyans were opposed to Gaddafi? What do serious analysts believe would have happened if the Libyan government had reoccupied Benghazi? Perhaps a few hundred deaths when we killed 50,000. In terms of civilian casualties, the number would have been quite low, and Susan Rice damn well knows this. She claimed tens of thousands of lives were saved. This is utter deceit. It makes me want to vomit. What impact will this invasion have on the psychology of the adolescents and children in Libya? Libya was one of the most peaceful countries in the world. You were 1/8 or 1/4 as likely to die violently in Libya on any given day than in the United States or Britain. Why have you ignored the ceasefire provision? How can you bomb while the rebels refuse to negotiate? Of course, they'll refuse to negotiate as long as you're bombing for them. A NATO representative said their violent peacekeeping mission can kill Libyans with impunity as long as the person they kill has a gun. In other words, the armed forces don't count against the miraculous casualty-free warfare you claim you've engaged in. Do you have any evidence that the majority of Libyans support your bombing and drone campaign? What is your response to the Amnesty International and Doctors Without Borders reports that refute all of your claims that were used to justify you in 1973? There was no evidence of rape, no evidence of mercenaries, no evidence of heavy weapon use on civilians. But there's evidence of all that now, after the revolution, by the people that you have armed. Heavy weapons were used in Abu Salim and Tripoli, according to the New York Times. That was by the people we armed against people that had supported their government that we overthrew. How do we have moral authority to determine Libya is a worse country than our own when they have no homelessness, no food insecurity, and a poverty rate 1/3 the United States? And why has the U.S. been the only country to invade anyone in the last 20 years? Why can others use diplomacy and we can only understand violence? Why will no one in the press directly confront these questions? If we want to show Arabs we support their aspirations, how does saturation bombing Libya likely appear to them? Why are we arming militants to destroy a secular government? Jihadist militants, the very people that we claim that this entire fiasco of war on terror is based on. You have attempted coups or sabotaged economically just amongst the very few countries that are left in the world that don't allow international supercapitalism to control their economies, and you are pushing all of them to fall. You tried to make a coup in Bolivia under Bush to overthrow Evo Morales. There was an attempted coup in Venezuela against Hugo Chavez, which the U.S.'s fingerprints are all over. We mined the harbors of Nicaragua under Reagan against the UN and the International Criminal Court. We attempted to kill Castro and have put an embargo on Cuba that probably made their government more hardline. The same with North Korea. And a few socialist countries remain, Burma, Syria. And of course, all of these we put intense pressure on. There's only a handful of countries that comprise less than 5% of the world's GDP. They may have large armies, but they're obsolete with our drone technology and our ability to wipe out all air defenses. These countries are utterly powerless against a military which represents 75% of the world's arms expenditures. Only one country remains in the region that is socialist, that you have not tried to destabilize and pressure, Algeria. When will its turn come? These countries, the simple fact is that the people that put you in your fancy office, surrounded by your staff and your armies and your soldiers and your politicians and your billionaire buddies, your billionaire boys club, they all are under pressure to grow their companies and grow their empires. And new states with new markets are oh so easy to make big profits from, according to invasion capitalism, particularly the media companies who profit from the viewership of these wars and sell ads to the companies that make the arms and are invested in by the same same groups that invest in Boeing and Raytheon and Kellogg Brown and Root and General Dynamics and Lockheed Martin, and how many alumni of the CIA and the Pentagon and the Congress now benefit from incomes from these power structures called arms makers. Americans, Obama sold you out. He will go back to his changes. We can believe in rhetoric for the election and then wheel and deal suspending the Constitution, concentrating power once it is over. And then once he has left office, he will join the billionaire boys club just like Clinton and live a cushy life and accumulate millions and millions and millions of dollars. This is Alexander Hagan. Thank you. Vote for Ron Paul. He's the only honest man in the election. Why on earth would anyone support a man who had been born with a silver spoon in his mouth like Romney, who worked in private equity firms, which are the biggest threat to our economy in many ways? I support people that work in business and invest honestly, but I don't support corruption, and there's a lot of it going around. Thank you.